Hello folks, welcome back to the Frontier Western Heritage YouTube channel. I'm Todd Kessner and I'm out at the gun range again outside of Bozeman, Montana. Another absolutely gorgeous afternoon, and doing experiment number 2 here with the WW Greener 12 gauge. And if you watched the first Greener video, you'd remember that I've got a 12 gauge here that is out of proof, which means it was proofed as a 13 gauge, which means it had a restricted bore, something that Greener liked to do. And at one point it pitted, and a very common practice was to go ahead and ream this out and take those pits out, and then unfortunately it pitted again. And so it's I've got to stay with some pretty light loads even with black powder. So what I've loaded up today, last test was at 25 yards with a number 6 shot, 1 1/8 ounce of number 6 over 80 grains of powder. I cut the powder charge the same, 80 grains of double F black powder, and put in 7.5 to give myself a little better pattern. And then I've set the target out to 30 yards. And since this has been bored out and has gone out of proof, it got borne out pretty big. We've got 2-cylinder barrels here, so really no choke to speak of, just 2-cylinder barrels. When you put the barrel choke measurer in the end of the barrel, it falls right to the 12 gauge line, and so it's a 12 gauge exactly with no choke at the end. So we're going to give this a try. It did seem to pattern okay with number 6s at 25 yards. So we're going to try the 7.5s, and we're going to go to 30 yards and see what happens. And if it has a decent pattern at all, then it could very likely be something I could use this fall out after Hungarian partridge, sharptails, things like that, with the 7.5s or even the 6s if I stayed relatively close. So just a couple of things about this gun. This is from the early 1870s, and there's some characteristics about this gun that would date it better than a model number, because Greener didn't put a lot of model numbers on it. A couple of things, we'll get a close-up here, and I want to talk a little bit about some of the aspects of this gun which would help us date it, and also show how guns progressed as far as the I guess the improvements of double barrel shotguns as they went on, because this is a very early one. So let's take a close-up and take another look. All right, so one of the characteristics that's a holdover from the percussion era that Greener stuck with is this fence right behind the firing pin. So that would have been a protectant to your eye, protective feature for your eye if a piece of cap had blown off. And it just was part of that percussion shotgun that remained for a little while after we got into breech loading shotguns. And so this makes this another indication that it's an older gun. They kind of kept that on just for the artistic value. The other thing that is interesting on this, I'm going to set both of these hammers down. They are not rebounding hammers, so when they strike and they stay put. And so when I open this shotgun up, you can see the firing pin sticking out right out the back of the recoil shield right there. And the issue with that is when I put 2 cartridges in it and then slam it shut, I've got pressure on those firing pins that are going right down on top of the primer. So I've got to remember to pull these back and let that firing pin spring do its work and hold those hammers back before I go ahead and load this thing and then slam it shut on those firing pins. And the third feature, later shotguns had rebounding hammers, and that's really the point to that. Earlier shotguns like this have a wedge, much like a wedge that holds the barrel on a muzzle-loading or cap and ball revolver, and you've got to tap this wedge out in order to get the forestock off. And if you're used to a regular shotgun today, a double barrel, there's the lever you pull and that forestock comes right off. This one I got to take the wedge out and then take the forestock off. It's another indicator of an older shotgun, because they hadn't yet developed the easy off forestock on it, or the rebounding hammers, which made things a lot safer. So as long as we recognize these limitations and try not to close, or remember not to close that chamber with the hammers down, we still have a very safe shotgun. Just remember to put the hammers back on half cock before you slam that barrel shut, and avoid an accidental discharge. All right, I've got my target set up that you'll see when I get the aim cam going that way, and got 7.5 size shot here, and so I'm going to just load the right barrel. We're going to try the right barrel first. I got my hammer back so my firing pin's not in the way. I'm going to go ahead and close that. Get my other earplug in here. And let's see what 7.5 shot over 80 grains of double F does for us here. All right, well, let's go run down there and take a look. I got a pretty good sized hole down there. It makes me think probably part of the wad went through. But we'll go down there and take a look at it, change targets, try the other barrel. So what we've got here on our target is we've got a 30-inch circle. You can see my target's not long enough to be able to get the whole 30-inch circle on here. I was aiming right here at this black dot that we drew on with the marker. If I had a flying bird, I have a lot of pattern to the rear, and I was aiming right here. The thickest part of the pattern is to the rear and low, and the other part of the pattern is low, very little high. It's dropping off fast if I aim right at the black dot. And let's just say this was a Hungarian partridge. I might have got 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 or 6 pellets in it, and that's it. So looking at number 7.5 size shot, we're getting pretty sparse out here to 30 yards. I did a whole lot better even at 25 yards. Seemed to get a whole lot more on the target if you watch the first W.W. Greener video. Now here with the second one, 7.5s are spreading out even worse because I went to 30 yards. So this is going to be a close-up gun, but we're going to try the left barrel regardless, and just see what the left barrel does, just for the test of it. But what I'm looking at here is a gun that I'm not going to be able to shoot very far at all, which is kind of what we suspected when we know that we have cylinder barrels after that thing had been bored out. So let's switch targets, try the left barrel, see where that goes, and then we'll kind of know for sure which way we go with both ones. I'm not going to bother to count the patterns or the number of pellet hits in my 30-inch circle, because it's right here is where I'm really concerned about, and we're not doing so good right there. So let's try another one with the other barrel, and then we might do some more practical kind of work with the gun with the cylinder choke on it, which is an absence of a choke. So we'll change this out and we'll go from there. All right, well, we got our second target up there, so I'm going to try the left barrel on this second target and just see what we've got. And I don't expect anything great, but might as well finish the test anyway and go ahead and run this one. So my hammer's back, my firing pin doesn't have any pressure on it, pushing it into my primer, so I'm good there. I'm going to load my left barrel, and we're going to try this other barrel and see where she goes. All right, we're taking a look at our left-hand barrel here, and this is showing me a whole lot better than the right. And it actually looks as if the right prints considerably to the right, and the left barrel prints considerably to the left. And so let's just say I had a bird going from right over to left. This is a really good barrel to use on that particular path of flight. I've got, you can't really see them real well, but I can see I got probably 3 little 7.5 pellets right in the black, and then some very, very close around it. And so I've got a halfway decent pattern with that left barrel on the black dot, or right around the black dot, and then quite a bit out in front, which isn't not a bad thing to have if the bird is flying from right to left. And so a little more encouraging on this left barrel, but it sure seems like the right barrel prints over here to the right, left barrel prints over here to the left, and so they're not, at least at 30 yards, they're not crossing paths and centering right where I'm aiming. So going to be a little tricky. It was 7.5s out at 30 yards, and so this is going to be with the cylinder gun, with the loads that I've got and the shot. Definitely going to have to keep the shots relatively close on a flushing bird, and just live with that. It is what it is. It's been bored out. It's a cylinder gun, and so there's no choke on it. So we're gonna try a little cowboy action with this thing and see if we can find a practical use for it. So other than a close-up bird. So let's give that a try and kind of see how that works. All right, well, let's go ahead and see what the WW Greener with these 2.5-inch English style shotgun shells will do with the Western Action shooting target. I think I missed the clay, didn't I? Let's give it another try. All right, well, maybe one more. At least I can say another try at it here. Well, I can't tell you what I'm doing wrong. I got a perfect sight picture, but I'm not hitting that clay. This is one of the fun things about black powder. You can see the stuff just pouring out of there. Let's give her one more try. I got to be able to hit this clay here sooner or later. Third time's the charm, right? Let's do this thing one more time. Hammers are at half cock. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I am right on it. All right, let's give this thing another shot. I've got to, I don't want to finish this video with nothing but a miss, so I'm going to try this again, see if we can't hit this thing before I run out of ammo. It's like I'm shooting blanks. All right, I'm going to load her up. Try this thing again. Hammers are at half cock, so I can close it. Well, evidently I need a little work with the shotgun target. I did not anticipate this. I've shot this target 10 million times with the 20-inch barrel on a coach gun, and for the life of me, I cannot hit that clay target with a black powder. I've hit it with black powder rounds before out of the coach gun, so I don't know what in the world I'm doing wrong. It's not my day. I don't know. Hopefully you've had frustrating days like this as well, and I'm not the only one. I got one shell left, and so I can't knock over the steel plate and get another shot at the clay target. So I guess I'm done. And I do not like leaving on a miss, not succeeding at least of hitting that. I don't know what's going on, but I hate to not succeed at hitting that target and call it quits. But I'm out of ammo. So we got to do some more work with this. I got to do some more work with this gun. This is kind of ridiculous that I couldn't hit that after I've hit pieces of charcoal coming off of that thing multiple times. So anyway, we're just because of lack of loaded ammo, we're going to have to call this thing quits, and I'm going to have to go back to the drawing board and figure out if I'm lifting my head, what am I doing? Or this thing is shooting at closer range like this, way off of where the bead is. I don't know. It could be the gun. I'd like to blame it on the gun, actually. But we'll see. But if you like the video, please hit the like, thumbs up. Also hit subscribe. That helps us a lot. We've got more action coming up soon. I've got another old-fashioned 1800s shotgun to show you. It's the 1889 Remington. I'm going to give that one a try. That one has not been bored out. That one has chokes in it, which would be a much more practical gun for a hunting type application. So again, thank you for coming to the Frontier Western Heritage channel. We'll see you next time, and hit that subscribe button. Thanks for coming. 12 gauge from the early oh shoot. That was bad all the way through. And let's see what 7.5 shot over 80 grains of double F does for us here.
Hang on. Hang on. This